Hello students, welcome to this video session today. The topic of today's video is concept of stress. Now, stress is such a word which is very commonly used in our day-to-day life. We use this term very often in our day-to-day interactions. But we need to know what exactly is the meaning of stress. What do we mean by stress? This is very important because unless we know the meaning of stress, we will not be able to understand it properly and then manage the stress properly. So let us see what are the learning objectives of this particular session today. First of all, we will discuss about the meaning of stress. At the same time, we will also cover what are the different types of stress and the different types of stressors. Okay. Also, how does stress impact our health and well-being? Okay, because that is very important because we need to know how stress impacts our physical health, mental health, social, emotional health also. So, the effect of stress also we will be discussing in this video. Further, we will learn about the different sources of stress. Okay. Sources of stress are important because what are the factors that lead to stress, that contribute to the stressful experience of ourselves. Okay. So, all these things we will learn in this particular video. Now, can you imagine what are the different stressful situations that you face in your day-to-day life? For example, you are going for the college or you are going to the office, so traffic jam, that may be one of the stressful situations for you. Or you are appearing for an interview, job interview, that also can be another stressful situation for you. Or you have to get ready for the college or get ready for the office, and you have to reach on time. You have to meet the deadlines of assignments or projects that you have been given by your teacher or professors, or in the office setup also. Your boss or supervisor, they have given you certain projects to complete or different assignments. So those are the deadlines, and these deadlines can be a stressful situation for you. Okay. Or there are meetings also, you have to present in front of the in the meeting, or present in front of the the teachers. So these are the kind of situations which can create stress. Further, if we see in the family context also, in the family situation also, there are different family duties or responsibilities we have to carry out. So those obligations can also be stressful situations for some of us. Similarly, if a person is suffering from any kind of sickness or illness, so that also can cause stress, and yes, relationship problems also. Okay. There are various issues that come up in our relationships also. So these can also lead to stressful situations. So now these are the various situations which can cause stress among us. And how do we react in these kind of situations? There are various emotional responses that we come up with. We might react with anxiety, we might react with, there may be tension, or sometimes argument or quarrel or fights. Sometimes there is it leads to certain kind of abuses also, corruption, fear, argument, even aggressiveness also, irritability, upset, all these reactions people show in these kind of stressful situations. And so when these stressful situations are there and we react with these kind of emotions, then what is the outcome? The outcome is stress. So as we see here, there are different stressful situations that lead to various type of reactions, and the ultimate, the outcome of these things are stress. So as we see here, stress is a fact of life. As you know, there is salt and pepper in our food. Okay, without that, our food doesn't taste that good. So, like salt and pepper in our food, stress is also a part and parcel of our life. Okay, it is there in every aspect of our life. Okay, whether it is our relationship, whether it is our workplace, or whether it is at the study place. So wherever it is, in our personal relationships also, at our relationship at our workplace also. So all these places there is stress. So that is why we can say that it is an integral part of our life. Okay. it is like we cannot avoid these kind of stresses. Like the example earlier I gave you, like you are commuting to the workplace or going to your colleges, so traffic is there, or you have fallen ill or sickness, or you have to perform, you have to present something in front of your teachers or at the workplace. So these are part and parcel of our life. We cannot avoid this. So we cannot avoid stress, but definitely we can manage it. Okay. And also one more thing here is that stress is a subjective experience. Okay. Now, for example, appearing in examination. Okay. So for one person, it might be stressful to appear in the examination. For another person, it might not be that much stressful. So stress, ultimately, it is a subjective experience. Okay. And stress up to a certain level is even desirable. For example, if there is no stress at all, the person will not be putting up that much effort in delivering. Okay. So that is why stress up to a certain level is desirable, so that it enables us to put in our best effort. It creates that motivation to really work for it and deliver. Okay. But beyond a particular level, stress impacts our performance or our life negatively. So in this sense, we can say that stress is desirable up to a certain level. Okay. So it is like there is an optimal level till which stress can act as a motivator for us to put in that much effort for a particular output. Okay. So here we can just see this Yerkes-Dodson law, which talks about the relationship between stress and performance. Okay. It says that if stress level is low, then performance level will also be low, because we will not have any interest or in motivation to gear ourselves up and really work for that particular thing. So if our stress level is low, we will be very comfortable. We will not put in that much effort. We will not put in that much of time or commitment towards a particular thing. So naturally, it will affect our performance and our performance will be low. On the other hand, if stress level is very high, then our performance gets affected negatively. Okay, because if you're like very much stressed, then you will not be able to think very clearly. You'll not be able to solve a particular problem in an effective manner, and you'll not be able to deliver. Okay, so that is how the performance will get affected negatively. So here, what is important is that optimal level or the appropriate level of stress. And this optimal level of stress will lead to better performance. Okay, because here the person is neither, it is not very low level of stress or it is not very high level of stress. So that optimal level of stress, it actually motivates the person to put in that hard work, to devote time for a particular task and complete it properly. So as we can see here, it is not stress actually, but distress that is negative. Later on, we will come to know what exactly is distress. So stress is not that much negative. It is distress that is negative. And while talking about stress, we need to remember that the optimal level of stress is very important. That actually helps us in performing in a better way. And here, another thing that I would like to emphasize here is that we need to keep in mind the individual differences. Okay, because there are individual differences in this optimal level of stress. Now, for me, whatever is the optimal level of stress, it might be different for you. Okay, so different individuals will have different levels of different optimal levels of stress. Okay, so we need to identify in the individual context what exactly is the level of stress which is actually will act as a motivator for that particular individual. Okay, so this is very important to remember. So as we saw here, stress is a response actually. Okay, and stressors, what are these? Stressors are situations or events that are perceived as demanding or threatening. Okay, and the resources that are available with the person, these are not adequate to deal with these stressors. So you can see here is that there is a demand and supply gap between the resources or the coping mechanisms of the person and the demands of that particular situation. And this discrepancy may lead to, this discrepancy leads to stressful experiences. Now, this discrepancy also, it can be real in the situation or it can be imaginary also. The person might think that I do not have these kind of resources with me. And that thinking leads to a gap between the demands that are there and the resources the person is having. Okay, so it can be imaginary resources also, and sometimes it can be real that the person is really lacking these kind of resources with them. Okay, and when this demand and supply gap is there, then that leads to stressful situation or stressful experiences for the particular person. Now let us see, how does this stressful experience occur? Okay, so as I said, there is a demand made on us and we use our responses to meet these demands, and then our resources are less and constraints, then the demands seem greater on us. Okay, if like the resources that we have with our own self or the resources that are there in our environment, if these are less, then we perceive the demands as being bigger. Okay, so this mismatch between the demands and the resources, they create pressure on the individual and this results in stress. So in this process, as we see here, there are two things. We talk about cognitive appraisals here. There are two kinds of appraisals here. One is primary appraisal and the other is secondary appraisal. Now, primary appraisal is like you assess the significance of the stressor. There is a stressor and you assess that, you appraise that. Okay, whether it is harmful, whether it is negative, whether it is going to be a difficult situation for you. So first of all, you primarily in the first place, you appraise or you assess that particular situation. Now, if you have assessed that situation as being harmful to you or some negative situation for you, then comes the secondary appraisal. What is that? That is assessing the resources that you have that will help you to deal with the stressor. Okay. Now, if you're able to, when you assess your resources, you see that you have the resources, then it will not be a stressful situation for you. But if you see that the resources that you have are not adequate or you do not have those kind of resources to deal with the stresses, then that leads to a stressful situation for you. Okay. So now let us see what are the types of stress. Till now we discussed about the meaning of stress, what exactly we understand when we say stress is there. Okay. Now, what are the types of stress? Earlier, I talked about distress. Okay, stress is actually distress, which is seen in a negative term. So, distress is the stress of negative events. For example, one is suffering from a serious illness, or like you are stuck in a traffic jam and you have to reach the office on time. There is an important meeting or presentation you have to make in front of your higher authorities. So, distress is stress of negative events, whereas there is another type of stress which is called eustress. Okay, eustress is stress of positive events. Now, there can be positive events, and positive events also can lead to stress. For example, like winning a lottery. Okay, you have won a huge lottery, huge amount of money. So that also can cause you stress because you will want to figure out how to spend that money, how to what to do with that money. Also, getting a good job or getting married or living for hostel, for example, when you get admission in a reputed college where you have desired to study at a different city. So these are positive events, but these events also cause stress. So there are eustress and there are distress also. Okay. Also, there are different types of stressors. For example, daily hassles, that is day-to-day problems like you are commuting or you're going to college, going to office, there is traffic or you have to wait in queue, like you have gone to a place, for example, bank and other places, you have to stand in line and wait for your turn. So these are daily hassles. Okay. These cause stress. And there are major life changes also. Like you are shifting to a new city or even going to abroad, or like buying a new house, or you have lost the job, or there is loss of a family member, okay, or there is trauma, or like there is disaster, okay, catastrophe. So these are major, like flood, earthquake and these kind of things. So these are major life changes which can cause stress. Okay, we also talk in terms of acute stress and chronic stress. Okay, Acute stress are these are demands and pressures of recent happenings or recent events, okay, or near future. Okay, for example, you are going to change your job, or you are going to change your house, or there is accident. So these are acute stress, and also there are chronic stress. For example, one is having a chronic illness. So the stress that arises out of this having a chronic illness, which is ongoing. Okay, so that also causes stress. So these are different types of stressors. Now let us see what happens during stress. Okay. Our sympathetic nervous system, it releases epinephrine and norepinephrine into the bloodstream for immediate action. Because whenever we are in a stressful situation, our physiological system prepares ourselves to deal with that particular situation. So immediate action is required. So we also give fight or flight response. For example, either we take some action in that particular situation, that is called fight, or like that, this indicates that you are taking certain actions in that particular situation. Or sometimes we adopt a flight response. Flight response means you avoid that particular situation. Okay, you avoid that situation and go away from that particular situation. So in stressful situation, we engage either in fight or flight response. Also, theory also talks about 3 stages during stressful experience. These are alarm, resistance, and exertion stage. Now, first stage is alarm stage. That is, it is an emergency reaction. It prepares the body to fight or flight or avoid or go away from that particular situation. Okay. So alarm situation means you get ready to deal with that particular emergency situation. Okay. So there is anxiety, irritability, or there might be disturbance in your eating or sleep disturbance. There can be forgetfulness, or you're not able to concentrate. Okay. So the body is preparing you to deal with the particular stressful situation. The next stage comes resistance, where the body maximizes its defenses and tries to meet the challenge. The body, with all its resources, tries to deal with the particular stressful situation and meet those challenges. Okay, you might be like the body might feel fatigued, or you might engage in delaying the things, procrastination, or you make yourself absent. There is absenteeism from the particular situation. So you try to deal with it is a resistance response there. And finally, there is exertion stage. Exertion stage is where body cannot sustain any further. Okay, the various physiological and immune system, they start to break down. Okay, so you might engage in these kind of behaviors, like you withdraw from the particular situation, or there might be chronic depression, or chronic mental or physical fatigue, and stress related illnesses also can occur. Okay, so these are the 3 stages through which we go through, which occurs when we are undergoing a stressful situation. Okay, and here we can say that the psychological approach to stress, it focuses on the cognitive appraisal of the particular situation and the demands of that situation, and what are the coping strategies that we have. Okay, as I have already told you earlier, the cognitive appraisal is important here. So the psychological approach focuses on this particular cognitive appraisal. Okay, and here the focus is on the perceived demands that is there and the ability to cope. Whereas the sociological approach, it views stress as a result of demanding societal conditions. Okay. Now let us see the effect of stress. How does stress impact us in various aspects? Okay. Stress can have effect on our body, on our mind, on our behavior also. Okay. How does it impact our body? There can be increased heartbeat in a particular stressful situation. There can be irregular breathing. We may experience headache also, chest pain or muscle pain also. Okay, the overall all over the body you might feel various aches and pains also. Okay. Similarly, also there is risk of heart disease, stomach upset can be there. The person might not be able to sleep properly, and in general immunity can be lowered, can be reduced. Okay. So similarly, the effect of stress on our mind, this also is very important because the person gets impacted by stress, and then the person might get angry or might experience sadness or irritability. There is anxiety also, depression. The person might lack motivation also, or might lack interest also. Whatever earlier the person used to take interest, now the person might not be interested in those aspects of those various things also. Okay. Similarly, the behavior also gets impacted. There is lack of energy, there is tiredness or lethargic, restlessness can be there, aggressiveness or withdrawal. The person might engage in overeating or might start using various kinds of drugs and different types of substances also. So these are the various impacts on of stress on body, mind, and behavior. Long-term stress can also lead to various health problems like heart disease or obesity, cancer, diabetes, various types of ulcers, even hair loss, depression, or eating related problems or eating disorders, anxiety disorders, and substance abuse. All these things may result from chronic stress. Okay. Now, the another important thing here is that after we discussed about the meaning of stress, the types of stress, the stressors, the how the different how does stress occur, let us see what are the sources of stress. Okay, from where does the stress come? There are external sources and then there are internal sources also. External sources refers to the environmental factors, like you have traffic jam or various like theft or violence in the neighborhood. These are the environmental factors that can lead to stress. Or there can be unpredictable events like sudden illness or sudden accident or loss of job. These also cause stress. Okay, and major life events. Okay, like even birth of a baby in the family, that also can cause stress. Marriage or death, or you have taken a new house or moving to a new place, new country, that also can be a source of stress. Similarly, at the workplace, there are workload or extra hours you have to put in at the workplace, or your supervisor is not good. Okay, so there is not cordial atmosphere at the workplace. So that these things also can lead to stress at the workplace, and also relationship can cause stress related to family, friends, and colleagues also. So these are the different sources of stress which are external in nature. There are also internal sources like fear of, for example, fear of getting through the interview or clearing the interview, or fear of speaking in front of the public. So this fear also can be an internal source which can cause stress. There are belief systems also, one's beliefs, values, or attitudes, that also can cause stress in the individual. And sometimes like lack of control, this feeling of lack of control, that is you are not you are not being able to have control over something, that also can be an internal source of stress. In general, we can say that there are three major sources of stress. One is conflict, frustration, and pressure. Okay. Now, conflict, when we talk about, there are different types of conflict like approach conflict, avoidance conflict, there is approach avoidance conflict, and then we have multiple approach avoidance conflict. So when we talk about approach conflict, that is like you must choose between two desirable goals or outcomes. Okay. For example, you have got admission in two very good colleges. Okay. So you are not able to decide which one to choose. So it is, you want to approach this also and approach that also. Okay. So that also is a conflict and which creates stress. Similarly, we have avoidance conflict, where you must choose between two unattractive goals or outcomes. Okay. Like you don't want to do this, and you don't want to do that other thing also. So you want to avoid both. So that also creates conflict and leads to stress. Then we have approach avoidance conflict, where the same goal or event has both the attractive and unattractive features. So, for example, you want to get promotion, but you do not want to do the additional responsibilities that come with that promotion. So you want to approach a particular thing, but you want to avoid the other things that are associated with that particular thing. So this also creates stress in the individual. Okay. And then we have multiple approach avoidance conflict, where you must choose from multiple goals, and each of which have attractive as well as unattractive features. So these are the different types of conflicts that we usually experience in our life, and they can also be a source of stress for us. Okay. So apart from conflict, we also have frustration and pressure. These things also can lead to stress. For example, exam stress. Okay. There is exam, and then so pressure of exam is there, and pressure of parents or teachers to perform well in the exam. So that also can cause stress when you're appearing for the examination. Or for example, you're not able to adjust to a new place. You have moved to a hostel, or you have moved to a new city, your new workplace. So if you're not able to adjust at that particular place, then you feel frustrated. Okay, and that causes stress. Okay. Or your friends or peer group are there performing well, and so that your siblings or your friends are doing well. So pressure of the family is there to deliver or to perform well. So all these kind of situations lead to frustration, lead to the pressure is created, and these lead to stressful situation for you. Okay. So students, in this video today, to conclude, we discuss that what exactly is stress, the meaning of stress, because stress is not something negative always. Stress can be seen in a positive manner. What matters is that optimal level which creates negative experience for you. So we discussed meaning of stress, we discussed the types of stress, the types of stressors also, and we discussed about the effect of stress, how it impacts in a negative manner our health and well-being. And also we discussed about the various sources of stress, the environmental sources, the personal sources. Okay, all these sources, and also frustration, conflict, and pressure. These are the sources which cause stress. So in all this discussion, the important point is how do we appraise, or how the appraisal, the cognitive appraisal that we engage in. How do we see, how do we perceive or interpret a situation, and the kind of resources that we have to deal with it. Okay. So it is always a mismatch or a gap between the demands and the resources that we have that creates a stressful situation for us. Sometimes the resources might not be there, but still we are able to cope up with, and we are able to perform. Okay. So that situation also, so there also the individual capability, the resilient nature of the person, that matters a lot. So we need to see the individual, what are the characteristics, what are the various strengths the person is having, that ultimately determines how the individual will be able to cope with a particular situation. So management of stress will aim at building up or enhancing these resources. So we need to remember that stress is not bad, but it is how we perceive it, how we interpret it, what are the resources we have, and how resilient we are, what are the resilient characteristics that we have. That determines whether there will be a mismatch and whether it will lead to stress. So we end it here, and then in the next video, we will learn about the management of stress, what are the different strategies or what are the different techniques we can engage in to manage our stress. So till then, keep learning.